So I'd like to start by saying that I did like the really quick video on Vimeo of the professor basically going over what historical thinking was. He basically said that the goal to be able to view history in an unbiased educational lens is to cultivate an empathy for these logics that we may not possess or share with the people that we are analyzing or the group or whatever. I think it's tough in this case to do this with the Shakers because it's a completely different time period, as mentioned, but I'll take a stab at it. So I guess the Shakers basically started as this famine struck, poor, penniless group of people that had virtually no direction, I guess. That's what the book basically kind of says. And visions, like visions of a holy nature, these were big at the time. This was catastrophic. If you had a vision and you believed that it was God's medium of telling you, a goal that you want to reach in life, people took this very seriously. When Anne Lee had the vision of God's intent taken incorrectly by Adam and Eve, that man is supposed to be celibate. This was catastrophic for her. She believed that this was God's message to her saying, gather people and teach them this lesson, change the ways of man, perfect man. So when Whitaker later on had the vision of the burning tree, it was reason enough to go to the Americas because, in a historical lens at the time, America was the promised land. It was a new start. It was holy. It was fresh. So, I mean, this made a lot of sense to me when I was reading the book in terms of a historical lens, in terms of how these people basically needed to start over. They had nothing to lose. It even says at one point that they found comfort in, or maybe not found comfort, but felt almost like at home when they were being persecuted because they almost didn't know anything else. So yeah, they took these visions seriously, like many did at the time, and they wanted to go to the Americas. So I guess another point that's big in the beginning of all of this is that they wanted to have this like sense of community with one another. It made people feel safe. It made people feel like they had something to share with others in a time when there was so much confusion and war and, violence and all this kind of stuff. So, they wanted the fresh start. They wanted to be, in a sense, connected with others, to be able to go forth with this new start in the world. Yeah, let's see. This idea of a utopia, this was big at the time. People liked dreaming about what they could have if they took that extra step. And people did. They migrated, they came to the Americas over time, and some flourished, some didn't, but they were all searching for something. They looked up to people who had a vision, who could potentially, get them to that saving grace. They shared this with one another, as many people did. And it was like that in the primitive times. People stuck together, they had communities. This was ideal. Let's see. In terms of the rank on the socioeconomic spectrum, they ranked pretty high. They survived for a long time. I thought this was pretty interesting. The fact that the lifespan of the Shakers was so great, considering they couldn't reproduce within their communities. But they thrived, and people were constantly, joining in hopes that they had found this salvation as well. I think one way to explain this is the fact that the Shakers were almost like perfectionists. They had their living conditions where they were extremely desirable. They were clean, they were neat, they were perfect. Everyone had a place in these villages, everyone had a place within this large group of people. Equality was a huge, huge aspect here. And this was something that was, like the book said, before its time. It was something that was idealized. And when people feel accepted, they feel like, I'm just as good as the other person in this group. It's comforting. So I think this was an attractive quality of the shaker community. Um, yeah, their living conditions were great. Basically, yeah, the agricultural aspect, the communities, they boomed off of this. They capitalized off of agricultural production. They didn't have a shortage of jobs. Everything ran smoothly. But yeah, they had the name Shaker printed on the goods that they were selling, so it felt like people really were like printed on to this packaging. Like, I'm a Shaker. I'm part of that community. People enjoyed that. Uh, in terms of uh, workload, that's a big thing here. They talk about how the nuclear family, the mother, father, child, the house, in the household, the father had to share, or the father and mother had to share responsibilities. They said something like, you can't be a jack of all trades or be exceptional at all trades. But with the Shakers, you had one job, you had one quality, and they really emphasized this. You took it and you ran with it. This is why they were so successful. There was the carpenter who was better at doing what he did than, the farmer, and this and that. And they really used people's qualities and took it full advantage of it, but it recycled. Back to equality one more time. There was a hierarchy, but it wasn't really truly apparent in the system of things. They had the people at the top, the leaders of the community. They obviously had a few more jobs than everyone else, but they were out there in the farms. They were doing the cooking. They were just as a part of it as anyone else, and they were respected by each other because of it. Why did it survive? Why did this community run so smoothly? People willingly chose this lifestyle. They willingly chose to be a part of this successfully run community. It wasn't forced upon everyone. It wasn't, they didn't hold grudges over people that didn't want to join. It was like, if you are a true believer in the cause, you join us and we will give you in return a successful, productive, comfortable lifestyle. But again, it's not for everyone. There are people out there that want to start families, that want to, do it all and keep the line of their blood running. Like, that's big for people to give that up, if they don't truly believe. But yeah, I think they thrived because it was run on equality. That's really why I think that they were able to last. It was no man is better than another. But like I said, in a lot of communist societies, it is forced upon the people, and there is going to be pushback. And most of the time, someone will rise in power above others and control a group of elites that then control a bottom group. It wasn't like that in the Shaker community. I guess building on the last question there, do I think it can make a comeback? I don't believe it could make Shakerism could make a comeback. I would say that our society is much more accepting of sex and much more unaccepting of religion these days. So I don't think there is that one thing that will bring all those people together, or enough people together, I guess, to really recreate a society like this. I don't believe that it's possible. I could be wrong, but um, I'd also say that our society today is a bit more privileged in terms of not really knowing the value of hard work. And I feel like this cycle kind of continues. People are very much more individualistic. They want to benefit themselves instead of work towards the benefit of a group. So I don't know. I don't necessarily see that sense of, community gain a priority in Gen Z at all. So I don't think, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily possible.